check out this mushroom. This is possibly the tallest mushroom I have ever seen in the game. And not only that, it is like there's no other mushrooms around it. It's like completely lonely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know, I could make a joke about like this mushroom being tall and like getting you high, but I won't stoop that low, because then I wouldn't reach the mushroom. That's right, it's snapshot time. Last time they added a bunch of like pig variants and like pretty flowers, and there have been some more snapshots since then, but they've just been like weird technical changes which like no one cares about, like other than nerds. But this time they've actually added something interesting. So they've done to the cow what they've done to the pig, and that is, while we still have the classic cow variant we're used to, they've added 2 new ones, that being the cold variant and the warm variant, both spawning in cold and warm biomes respectively. I mean, could you figure that one out? Now, I am not going to sit here and like pretend that I like both of them, because I clearly have a favorite, and it's this woolly giant over here. I love Scottish Highland cows, and those are just the most adorable variant of cow out there in real life. Like, they're all so giant, docile, and fluffy. I just want to hug them, and they all have these ridiculous like emo haircuts over their eyes. Like, give them some black dye and they'll cut the steak for you. Now, one thing I'm really curious about is, did Mojang remember to give these 2 udders? Because last time they added the pig, they totally forgot the nipples. So I'm gonna have a bit of a check, if you don't mind, sir. And no, they actually did remember the udder. Boo! I'm actually kind of sad about this, because I had a joke planned with a bucket where I was gonna walk up and say, "Oh, I can still milk you though." Where's this milk come from? Moving on to the other cow, we have this guy, and I really tried to search online for like the real life counterpart of like whatever this guy's meant to be, but I really struggled. The best I could find is something called a red Cindy cow, which I'm not entirely convinced is the same thing, but it's the best I could come up with, especially with like the horns. Now, while I'm talking about real life cows, I want to go on a bit of a sidetrack, because while I was searching cows for this video, I found a cow variant called a red Brahmin cow, and like, just look at these dudes. Like, they look alien. It looks like someone took a normal cow and like put a blowtorch and melted him. I'm pretty sure if I took him out of the image, put him on a stick, he would look like the perfect campfire marshmallow. But guess what? Those of you getting bored of talking about cows, I'm not done, because they've updated the old cow model as well. You'll notice that it now has these like cool 3D humps, and they've actually made the udder a bit 3D as well. And they've updated the legs. You'll notice that like the textures actually blend together a bit nicer, and on the sides as well. This can be reflected because they totally forgot to update the mushroom texture, which, by the way, have you ever noticed how bad this texture is? Like, look, there's just a giant red square over here. This texture's just completely cut off on the side. It's just terrible. And I mean, just look at those eyes, those soulless void of eyes. I've definitely seen them somewhere before. Next up, they've added something called a bush. This is a bush. You can place a bush. It's a bush. And that's about it, really. You can just, like, place a bush. I mean, they're fine, but I think they're a bit too similar to short grass, like, you know what I mean? They are a bit darker, but they kind of fill the same niche in the building role. I can't imagine anything which was now possible, which wasn't previously possible, by just substituting in short grass. I mean, grass is meant to look like grass, it is meant to be short grass, but the bush is like a whole new different plant. It should be a bit darker, better contrast, you know what I mean? To help illustrate my point, I've got a bit of a green gradient back here, and I would say, this is a bit too dark, this is a bit too light, somewhere in between. You sort of see what I mean? Like oak. Make them this color. Trust me. You can... Trust me! Okay, so this next one I have to really pump up my render distance for. And unfortunately, I'm in a snapshot, so it's going to lag. I have a good computer, yet when I turn up the render distance, it still lags! This is the consequence of Java, everyone! The next thing they've changed is with how beacon beams are rendered. Previously, beacon beams would just be like not even half a block like this, and they still render like that, but it actually changes with distance. But obviously, as we get further away, the beacon beam is going to get thinner and thinner. So they've actually done something to compromise, and that is the further away from a beacon beam you are, the wider it renders. Now this is actually very hard to see, but if I decrease my FOV and zoom in, and actually increase the footage as well, you can see that at this distance, the beacon beam is almost 3 blocks wide, when previously it didn't even take up half a block. Although for some reason, it is still affected by darkness as it goes up. So the consequence is, the moon looks like it's been torn in half. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for 3.5 years. They've finally added this thing called the Firefly bush, which when at night, if we go to nighttime, we will see will slowly emit particles which look like fireflies. I mean, they are missing a couple pixels, exactly one from the original design, but at this point, I'll take it. And to be fair to them, I think they actually work way better as like a particle connected to a plant than actually like a singular mob. Because this way they don't take up the mob cap and, well, we get to decide where fireflies actually spawn. It puts the creativity in the hands of the players. Okay, so I've got a frog spawn egg, but before I spawn it, Agnes Larson, if you're watching this, please turn away. I don't want you to cry. Okay, let's spawn the frog. Boom! And he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there. He's chilling. Look at him. He's grooving. Why couldn't they add Firefly sooner? Huh? Just don't make him eat. Whatever. I'm not getting into this. I'm playing with fire here. But seeing all these nice little fireflies floating about in 3D space, it did sort of give me an idea. You see, in the Disney movie Treasure Planet, once they open up the treasure map, it's like this cool 3D animated, like star map with all the planets around the characters in 3D. And I thought, hey, what if I build like a black box and like this could be like the star map? I mean, it kind of doesn't really look like it. I mean, they're moving about too much. If this was the real universe, we would be in some trouble. But it kind of looks cool to walk about. It looked cooler in my head. You could see what I was going for. But the final thing worth mentioning in this snapshot is really, really small, but possibly my favorite thing in the snapshot. And that is now in Badlands and desert biomes, they've added ambient sounds. When you're walking about, you'll hear like wind rustling through the feathers of like these dead bushes. And I genuinely, I've always wanted this feature in Minecraft. It is something I have actually really, really wanted. And it's something mods have added for like a long time. There's like one mod for ambient sounds, which is quite popular, but I've used that one time. I built a house on a beach and went insane because all they had was like a 3-second loop of seagulls. They didn't have the skill or the budget, but Mojang does. Although the ambient sounds aren't perfect yet, like I'm hearing whistling, like creaking bushes and I'm on a beach. You know, with them updating the cows and the pigs with new variants, logic should suggest that the next one they're updating would be the sheep. But I disagree. I think they should give us warm and cold villager variants. I'm sure that won't go wrong. Hey man, why does your wheat farm only employ warm villagers? The nearest village was an ocean away. I had to boat them over.